If you're a fan of American muscle cars, chances are the name Chevrolet 396 rings a bell. A legendary engine that once shook both streets and racetracks. But what if I told you there's a hidden story behind this mechanical icon? The 396 wasn't just a powerful lump of metal. It was a symbol of ambition, engineering creativity, and some very strange decisions from General Motors. Some called it the Porcupine. Others whisper that a version of the 396 was buried because it was too powerful to be allowed on the track. Today, we're digging into the full story of this engine, its glory, its mystery, and its legacy. The truth behind the Chevrolet 396 just might surprise you. Before the Chevrolet 396 came onto the scene, the muscle car world was still craving a true shot of adrenaline. In the early 1960s, most of Chevy's performance cars ran on small block V8s, quick and agile, yes, but lacking the kind of earth-shaking torque that could truly satisfy speed-hungry fans. Meanwhile, Ford had unleashed its brutal 427 FE. Chrysler brought the 426 HEMI into the fight, a beast that racers called Godzilla under the hood. Chevrolet knew one thing: if they didn't respond, they'd be left in the dust in the most intense horsepower war the auto world had ever seen. So, under pressure, the 396 was born. Not just another engine, it was a declaration of war. Chevy didn't just want to catch up, they wanted to dominate. The 396 arrived like a steel punch to the face of the competition, launching the big block era, where power was no longer limited by cubic inches or outdated formulas. In 1963, General Motors shocked the racing world by officially pulling out of all factory-backed motorsports programs. The decision sent ripples far beyond the track. It crushed the spirits of engineers who had poured themselves into building machines that pushed the limits of performance. But as the lights dimmed at Chevrolet's official facilities, whispers of secret activity began to surface elsewhere. Rumor has it that deep within a hidden Detroit workshop, a small group of elite engineers refused to quit. They secretly salvaged blueprints for a special 396 variant, one allegedly too powerful for public release, and perhaps even too wild for NASCAR's strict rulebook. Some say GM buried the project to avoid trouble. Others claim the so-called 396 Porcupine briefly roared in underground racing circuits, only to vanish like a ghost. The question still lingers. Did Chevrolet truly hide away a mechanical beast? Or is this just another Motor City legend lost in the smoke and shadows? While the secretive 396 Porcupine variant stayed hidden in the shadows, Chevrolet was channeling its full energy into another weapon, one that insiders called the 427 Mystery Motor. Not just a sibling of the 396, but a bold upgrade designed to dominate the track. The 427 Mystery Motor was built specifically for NASCAR, packing breakthrough engineering, optimized combustion chambers, higher compression ratios, and the same canted valve setup pioneered on the 396. Though the two engines came from different families, Mark II and Mark IV, they shared one philosophy: help the engine breathe better, run stronger, and survive high RPM punishment. When the 427 hit the scene, it was nearly unbeatable. But with limited resources and pressure mounting, Chevrolet had to make a decision. Keep developing both engines, or go all in on a single flagship. In the end, Chevy went all in on the 427. Strategically, it made sense. But it also quietly marked the end of the 396's shot at NASCAR glory. Although it didn't receive the same spotlight as its 427 sibling, the 396 was the birthplace of one of Chevrolet's most important engineering breakthroughs, the Porcupine cylinder head. Instead of the traditional inline valve layout, Chevy's engineers angled the intake and exhaust valves relative to the cylinder axis. This innovation allowed them to fit larger valves, straighten airflow paths, and dramatically improve air-fuel flow. The result? Better combustion efficiency, more power, and higher revs, without needing a bigger engine. Pop the valve covers, and the inside looks chaotic. Rocker arms and valve stems jutting out in every direction, like the quills of an angry porcupine. That's where the Porcupine-head nickname came from. This wasn't just a clever trick. It became the foundation for the next generation of big block beasts, including legends like the 427 L88 and the 454 LS6. The Porcupine head wasn't just engineering, it was a declaration. Chevrolet was ready to push every boundary in pursuit of power. Once the technical foundation was laid, Chevrolet wasted no time launching several variants of the 396 engine. And from that decision emerged three legendary names: L35, L37, L78. Each version had its own personality, built to satisfy different kinds of muscle car lovers. The L78 was the true rock star, built for pure speed addicts. With 425 horsepower, a solid lifter camshaft, 11:1 compression, and a 4-barrel Holley carburetor, the L78 was a high-revving monster. It powered some of the most aggressive Corvettes and Chevelle SS models of the era. If the L78 was a beast, then the L37 was its refined brother. Built specifically for the ultra-rare Chevelle SS Z16, only around 200 units made, the L37 used a milder hydraulic camshaft for smoother street performance, while still delivering 375 horsepower. Finally, there was the L35, the everyman's big block. It produced 325 horsepower with a lower compression ratio and a gentler cam profile, making it perfect for full-size cruisers like the Impala, Bel Air, and Biscayne. The L35 brought big block thrills to the masses, not just the track warriors. With its impressive power and cutting-edge engineering, the 396 should have been a racing legend in NASCAR, but instead, it was barely seen on the track. And the reasons boil down to a complex mix of corporate strategy and unforgiving rules. In 1963, General Motors enforced a company-wide ban on factory-backed racing. All high-performance engine projects were shut down, including the most aggressive versions of the 396. At the same time, NASCAR tightened its homologation rules, meaning that if an engine wasn't mass-produced and publicly available, it wasn't allowed to compete. As a result, Chevrolet shifted its focus to the 427, a larger, more race-ready platform that better fit the path to NASCAR victory. The 396 didn't fail because it was weak. It failed because it never got a real chance to prove its worth on the battlefield. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Chevrolet 396, especially the L78 variant, is its true horsepower rating. On paper, the L78 was listed at 375 horsepower at 5,600 RPM. But seasoned enthusiasts and dyno results suggest the real figure could be 420, maybe even 430 horsepower. So why would Chevrolet downplay its numbers? The first reason was insurance. By the late 1960s, high-horsepower cars were labeled dangerous, which caused insurance premiums to skyrocket. If the real power was advertised, average buyers might hesitate, and Chevy didn't want to scare away potential customers. The second reason came from inside GM itself, a corporate policy prohibiting mid-size cars from exceeding 400 cubic inches. If the 396 delivered too much power, it might steal the spotlight and the market share from the bigger, more profitable 427 and 454 engines. So, instead of dialing down actual performance, Chevy simply wrote a smaller number on the spec sheet. It was a clever move, but one that left the 396 underrated in the eyes of history. Though it never received the spotlight like the 427 or 454, the truth is this: the 396 laid the foundation for Chevrolet's entire big block dynasty. It was this engine that paved the way for the muscle machines that ruled the streets and tracks of the 1960s and 70s. From the Chevelle SS 396 and Camaro SS to the mid-year Corvette. The 396 wasn't just a mechanical milestone, it was a cultural shift. It turned coupes and family sedans into roaring beasts. It helped define what muscle car meant: raw torque, aggressive styling, and that unmistakable American rumble. While the 427 and 454 eventually became legends for their brute power, the 396 is where it all started. The porcupine heads, the canted valves, the high-performance mindset, they were born here. It may have been overshadowed, its numbers eclipsed, but without the 396, there would be no big block lineage to celebrate. And that is its true legacy: quiet, enduring, and irreplaceable. So, was the 396 Porcupine truly banned, as the rumors suggest? The truth probably lies somewhere between corporate politics and racing regulations. There's no official document confirming a ban, but it's clear that Chevrolet strategically stepped back, allowing the spotlight to fall on the more race-suited 427. And yet, that didn't diminish the 396's value. In fact, the mystery, the whispers, and the hidden power behind it have only made it more legendary. The 396 didn't need to win races to be remembered. It stands as a symbol of an era where performance ruled, and engineers were the unsung heroes behind every piston's explosion. So next time you see a Chevelle SS 396 in the wild, know this: you're looking at a piece of American history. And don't forget to subscribe, because our journey into the world of forgotten beasts is only just beginning.